Night King! He saw me!
He touched you.
I don't know, he was close, but...
He touched you.
He knows you're here. He'll come for you.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long night. I've recently done 2 podcast episodes, one with Joe Magician and one with Gemma from Secrets of the Citadel. In both of those separate podcasts, myself and my guest all agreed there is more that meets the eye with Brandon Stark. But what? Well, let's talk about it. Everyone thinks that the hero, and I use that word loosely, of the story is going to be Jon Snow or Daenerys Targaryen. But I'm not sure about that. I'm 99% sure the decision maker, the game changer, is going to be Bran. There is so much evidence that the key to defeating the Night King is Bran. The Night King has came in contact with Jon Snow multiple times. At Hardhome, they do an awkward stare down twice. Also, Beyond the Wall twice.
There's another. Killed him. He turned them all.
You don't understand.
More awkward stare downs. Even with Daenerys, he could have killed her. Drogon is grounded and in closer proximity to him than Viserion, who is mobile and flying through the sky. So he lines up and fires an ice pick at Viserion. Boom! But wouldn't it have been easier to kill Daenerys? I mean, if Daenerys is the threat, she's right there. Or, while the Night King is right there with his posse, he could have hurled an ice pick at Jon, but he didn't, because is Jon the threat? Is Daenerys the threat? Or did he just need to get a dragon to get through the wall and to hurry up and to get to Bran? Now, when the Night King found Bran and marked him, the Night King arrived at the cave in like 30 minutes. He showed up in full force, cracking the grounds, and he came hard for Bran. There was no stare downs, no nothing. He came through killing shit. And luckily, Bran got away without ever coming face to face with the Night King. You might think that the Night King was coming to kill Bloodraven because Bloodraven is this very experienced, very powerful, 100-year-old Greenseer, right? But listen to what Bloodraven says to Bran.
He saw me! The Night King! He saw me!
He touched you.
I don't know, he was close, but...
He touched you.
He knows you're here. He'll come for you. He knows you're here. He'll come for you.
Bloodraven says he will come for you. He doesn't say he'll come. He doesn't say he'll come for me. He specifically says he will come for you. So when Bran is rescued by Benjen, Benjen highlights Bran's importance even more.
I don't have time to learn. I can't control anything.
You must learn to control it before the Night King comes. One way or another, he will find his way to the world of men. And when he does, you will be there waiting for him.
Benjen does not say Jon will be waiting for him, Daenerys will be waiting for him, or anyone else. He says that Bran will be waiting for him. And let's not forget how Bran's whole mission to find Bloodraven started. Jojen Reed had green dreams that caused him to tell Hallan Reed, and then Jojen and Mira went to Winterfell to seek out Bran. Jojen discusses his green dreams with Bran, and guess what Jojen says?
Your father is Hallan Reed?
Yeah.
Saved my father's life during the rebellion.
Father told you about the rebellion. Mine never did. I saw that too.
What else have you seen?
Only one thing that matters. You.
That's right. Jojen says Bran is the only one thing that matters. So Bloodraven says that Jojen knew that he would die, but he still came anyway. Jojen knew that Bran was going to be this champion of mankind, so he sacrificed his own life to get Bran to the cave. Bloodraven goes further and says that he's been watching all of them their entire lives, which brings me to the World of Ice and Fire app. If you watch those podcasts, you heard me quote this already, but anyway. So George worked on this app with Ilio and Linda, and I believe that it's canon. At least it's canon for what we know so far. So if you type in Brynden Rivers, which is Bloodraven, and the three-eyed crow that visits Bran, it says this. On the wall, Brynden Rivers becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, but eventually he absconds to the lands beyond the wall and joins the Children of the Forest, who hail him as the last Greenseer. There, merging with the great weirwood, his body slowly withers as his lifespan draws out, and he watches the world around him with 1,000 eyes in one through the eyes of ravens and weirwoods throughout the realm, and awaits the birth of Bran Stark, another Greenseer who will be needed in a time when the fate of the world and all who live in it are in danger. That quote basically says that Bloodraven was awaiting Bran's birth. Well, what does that remind you of? Does it remind you of a prince who was promised? So Rhaegar awaited the birth of his children, thinking they were the prince who was promised. Daenerys awaits the birth of her son, thinking her son is this prophesied hero, the stallion who mounts the world, or the prince who was promised. Rhaego was never born. Rhaegar was always wrong, but Bloodraven is a Greenseer. Bloodraven can see the future, so Bloodraven should know. He doesn't have to rely on prophecy because he can actually see the shit. Just like Bran. Bran sees the wildfire explosion before it happens, and he also sees a dragon above King's Landing. Bran seeing events before they happen definitely point to him being able to see the future. So Bloodraven awaits Bran's birth, kind of like a prince who was promised. And it's also important to note that Daenerys is not a princess. She's a queen. And Jon was actually born after Rhaegar's death. So Jon was never a prince. Jon wasn't born a prince. He was born a king. Hence why the Kingsguard was at the Tower of Joy. So they aren't princesses or prince. They're king and queen. But you know who is referred to as prince? Bran. Bran is called Prince Bran in the books after Robb is made king in the north. It made Bran feel queer when they called him prince, though he was Robb's heir and Robb was king in the north now. So maybe it's actually Bran that's the prince who was promised. During our podcast, Gemma brought up an interesting point. Bran was allegedly born at the height of summer, so she suggested that it's been getting colder ever since Bran was born, and I think that makes perfect sense. The summer ends during a clash of kings. 10 years, 2 turns, and 16 days it lasted, the longest summer in living memory. So Bran was born 2 to 3 years into summer, and summer ends when Bran is 7 or 8, and fall begins. But summer starts to end when Bran's fall begins, but that's another tale for another day. Also, if you look at how the books are structured, Bran is the very first chapter in Game of Thrones. It's the first words that George ever put on the pages, and he has said this. He said this on the record. Bran is also Catelyn Stark's favorite child, but that's not here nor there. So maybe we've been wrong all along, and the determining factor to beating the Night King is Bran. So I started to think, if Bran is the key to defeating the Night King, how would he do it? What does he do? And I think I have figured out exactly what Bran is going to do. And I will be uploading how he does it tomorrow, explained and in depth. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone that supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a good day.
Shame. Shame. Shame.